in our ERP industry, because people do so much research before they want to pick up the phone now, because it's such an expenditure for new ERP software, not only from a dollars perspective, but also from a headache perspective of replacing your old system that may have carried you from the beginning of your business to where you're needing something much more enterprise level to address the needs of your business. It's growing. Maybe your QuickBooks database has exploded or what have you. So companies just need to be able to rely on experts, and they first go to the web to go and do their research, go to search engines and go visit different websites that they've been told to look at, to review. So so we'll go ahead and get started here. And I do believe Kathy Graham has joined us. Kathy, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, hi, thank you. I was just helping an Acumatica partner get onto the website, so I think Brian joined us. So thank you, Brian. We're both here.
Awesome. Success. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide here. So just a few housekeeping notes. Just a note on the webinar pane, there's a question mark and there's a hand. If you should have any questions throughout the presentation, we just ask you to click on that question mark button. And Kathy, if I could just ask you to monitor the question pane while we go through here. I would like you to interrupt me if there's any questions moving along, because I think it's key to address those questions about the topic while we're talking about the topic. So we'd like to make this as collaborative and participatory as possible. So Kathy, thank you so much for paying attention to that. And here's a little bit about us. I'm on the top there. I love to ski. Gives you a little picturesque view of the San Bernardino Mountains at Snow Summit. And then here's Kathy at the bottom. Kathy with her dog Shadow. And then a little bit about Kathy and I. And Kathy, you know what? I'd like to let you go ahead and talk about your years of experience and our team here.
Sure, thanks. We here at ERP VAR founded it back 4 years ago based on the premise that we wanted to take the trade show environment, you all know, where you can interact with customers, other resellers, and third-party providers, the exhibitors that are typically there. We wanted to take that environment and bring it to our website. So basically, ERP VAR is a place where resellers can be found. We have listings where you can place your products, your locations, and we help optimize you from a search engine perspective. So if you wanted to be found as Acumatica Consultant Boston, Acumatica Cloud ERP Boston, we can help you get to the top of the search engines by leveraging our site, pointing back to your site. So that's how we help resellers. And then the other way you can participate is through blogs. We work to post a blog every day, and we've been doing that for the past 4 years quite consistently. Although this week I'm about to post my second blog, so I'm a little behind. We've been doing a lot of other things, so I can't say we're at the everyday schedule right now, but the blogging effort, we have thousands of blogs, over 4,000 blogs posted, and we circulate those blogs through our network of participants. So the other resellers and third-party providers have agreed to share your blog through their networks. So we use HubSpot. We've built our whole website on HubSpot, and I realize Acumatica has made some great strides to provide that integration through Acumatica. So we're big HubSpot fans. We've been trained and certified to resell HubSpot. And the reason I share that is because HubSpot gives us capabilities where partners and participants of ERP VAR can enter their LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook profiles, G+, if you're using that. And then we never see your passwords, but we can then control how we share blogs through our partner channels. So when a blog is posted and it's cloud related, we can share that through all the partners who agreed to share cloud-related blogs. If it's an ERP general blog, we can share that through a lot more partners. And if it's a Microsoft Nav blog, we would only share that through the Navision Nav partners. So we share the blogs, we get your blog a lot more exposure than if your blog was sitting on your website. The great thing is if you already taken the time and expense to write a blog on your site, which we encourage you to do consistently, we take that blog, rewrite it, and recirculate it. So your blog is acting as a page on your site. It's giving you SEO juice. And when it travels through social media, it gets even more SEO juice. We also do a lot of webinars through the third parties, partners who want to present their solutions. And we record on YouTube. We circulate the activity of the webinar through social media, so we get a lot of exposure and a lot of attendance. Typically our webinars, this webinar had about 40 registrants. Typically we get between 40 to 250 attendees on our webinars. So that's been real successful, and it's really a collaborative site, and we welcome you to check it out, participate. We're very optimized for a lot of cloud terminology through the work and the blogs that we've already been doing. So check it out, but our past is basically channel management, recruitment. I was at QuickBooks recruiting for the QuickBooks Enterprise. That was one effort that I shared a similar experience with Dawn. But and Adrian's background's a lot to do with channel management and marketing. So she has a very strong background with the marketing. And just to say, you know, we're all students with this topic. Dawn and everybody else who when you go to ITA and you learn best practices, we're all learning about best practices of our web presence together. This is definitely an evolution, and it's constantly changing. So no one here can claim to be an expert, but we try to apply the principles we've learned and help you apply those to your business as well. So hope that helps, and I'll turn it over to you, Adrian.
Thank you, Kathy, for that. Appreciate that. So we're going to be talking about 5 ways to convert website visitors to leads using calls to action, or CTAs. So that's the acronym for calls to action. So we're going to be referring to calls to action as CTAs from here on out. So just note that. So we're going to be talking about how to create CTAs that are clickable, where to place your CTAs on your website, on your web pages, how to deliver on your CTAs, and where to link your CTAs, and where to promote your CTAs. So all of the 2 through 4 has to do with your own website, and then 5 is, you know, where do you want to put your CTAs so you can redirect traffic back to your website and convert them to opportunities, right? That's the name of the game, and to get the people that are visiting your website from wherever they came from to resonate with the content that you have there, and to actually click on the 2-word button that says register now or download now or what have you, your action-oriented term. So how do we create clickable CTAs? Well, this is an evolving objective, right? So you always have to be measuring how your CTAs are working, and some folks do that with what they call A/B testing, and but this is a constant evolving effort where, you know, you want to just keep honing in on what's working, what's not working, so that you don't have too many CTAs cluttering your website. So the basic principles are to keep it short. So you want to use these action-oriented words that are 2 words or less. Register now, download now, but you have, you know, surrounding content like a blog or like a button that gives a little bit more information about what it is that they're going to register for, right? Or what it is that they're going to download. but the button itself should be 2 words or less. And that's from FormStack. So FormStack is a great resource for inbound marketing in addition to HubSpot. So formstack.com, if you want to check that out. We visit that occasionally so that we can learn more and more. Use simple, easy to understand words so that the clicker knows what they're going to get when they complete the form. So, 5 ERP implementation mistakes to avoid, download now. Just very easy to understand, concise, be action-oriented so that you're strong in what you're actually asking them to do. You don't need to say, please download now. Be very strong. Download now. You got to get this now. You have to register. There's only 2 seats left. We're having a giveaway contest. If you don't download this paper now, you might miss a trip to Hawaii or what have you. But you're action-oriented. They clearly understand what they're going to get in return for clicking that button and filling out that form. And then you have to deliver on what you promise as well. So the use of colors. So making your CTA stand out. And how do you do that? Well, you might need to consult with a graphic designer. But it's really, you could do a lot of this stuff in PowerPoint with just a little bit of thought. You could create buttons in PowerPoint. It's very simple buttons. You can create them and put them in your, upload them into your WordPress, into your HubSpot, or whatever you use for content management. It doesn't have to be rocket science. So think of the background color. What color scheme are you using on your website, and how will the background color be able to make that CTA stand out? Maybe you want to add a subtle color change to the button itself as the mouse hovers over the button so that the visitor knows, hey, I want to click on this button because this is where I should click, and it's changing color and it's easy for me. So maybe you want to use some white text to highlight the action-oriented copy. It's up to you, but you really, you have to understand that it's the visitor you're trying to resonate with, and how are we going to get them to click that button, because that's our ultimate objective. With all the work that we've done to get the visitor there, we need to make sure that we make it as compelling as possible to get them to click on that button with a strong offer and, a simple button just to click. So here's a few examples. So here was one that was provided from HubSpot. Are you doing your SEO wrong? And then the button is down here. So they're using some green background color. And it looks like this might be something, that's being delivered in a remarketing type ad where, it's being displayed maybe on YouTube or Facebook. So this is a call to action that's really easy to interact with. So enter your URL to find out and log in with Google. And so this probably takes you to a form where you have to fill out either your first name, last name, and email address. Here's another one over here for an example. You know exactly what you're going to get. Unlimited access for $89. They have three major points here. The button itself is what is the call to action because they're talking about web templates for iPhone apps, but then they go through 3 bullet points, and then they want you to click on that button because you're looking for web templates, and this is the reason why. Now click on our button and fill out our form, and then hopefully put your credit card in. Oops. This is a great one because they're using, it looks like they're using personas that they've developed. They know exactly who their target market is. It's very simple. Pick the type of vacation that best suits you. But don't worry, you can come back and try them all. So if you're looking because you just got married and you want to go on your honeymoon, you're looking for a romantic getaway, your eyes just naturally go over here to the wine bottles and I'm going to look and see all the travel packages that are available for my romantic getaway. And so that's the persona that they're going for. We talked about personas in an earlier presentation. Maybe you're looking for a family getaway. So it's just very simple and right to 4 separate target markets that this company looks like they're targeting. So super simple. But it took a lot of thought and research, I'm sure, for them to know how to resonate with their target market. So it takes a lot of experience with the market that you're working with to resonate and get someone to convert on a button, because they know that you're speaking to them and you've made it easy for them to make a decision. Here's a couple more. So look and feel. Make it big, but not too big. So it's big enough to read. Smooth border with surrounding white space. So white space is always good. Make sure button is mobile compliant, and you can change the size according to the mobile device, so that it's not all skewed on a mobile device. You want to make sure that your technology that you're using is all mobile compliant these days. I'm not sure what the statistics are, but it's growing and growing. A monthly box of dog goodies. Get started. Give a gift. So, simple 2-word on the top here. Button, get started now. Give a gift. They probably arrived here because they did some sort of research about dogs and treats for dogs. They might have done a Google search about treats for dogs, or they might have heard, obviously BarkBox probably has a brand, and people come to it just like they come to Acumatica or to your website, and this company knows exactly how to speak to who their target market is that is visiting their website. This is easy. You could do this super easy in PowerPoint. Can't complete this problem right now? Not a problem. So people are researching buyer persona. I believe this is from HubSpot. So grab the template. So if you want to know what a buyer persona template is and how to create buyer personas, you just grab the template, and you know that that they've provided this document free of charge to earn your trust that they're an expert in inbound marketing. So grab the template, click on this button, and now you're going to have a template to understand how you create a buyer persona. And that's the slide that we were previously looking at, obviously had their buyer personas super targeted because they knew who was visiting their site. And so this is very important to understand who's visiting your site, so you can call out to them and say, hey, click my button. I had a few of you ask for this 101 examples of effective calls to action after you registered for this webinar, and I've sent that to you. But this is a super easy button to create. You could create this in PowerPoint. So you don't need to be a graphic designer to create something like this, but it's very compelling because HubSpot obviously is an authority in this area, and they're offering a free ebook to understand how to create calls to action, because they have hundreds of people on staff that are researching this every day that want to give you valuable content so that you know that they're an expert in this field, and that hopefully that you will ultimately subscribe to their inbound marketing system that automates the measurement of all your activities. Here's Avalara. I'm sure we're all familiar with Avalara and the Avalara orange. So people have arrived at their home page, and this is what's on their home page. This is what was on their home page yesterday. It might have changed. But so this looks like it's probably one of their customers, and they're trying to talk to, obviously, small, mid-sized businesses that need sales tax automation. So people have arrived at this site because of their relationships, because of Avalara's relationships and being able to distribute information about being a sales tax authority. So if they've arrived at this site, then a lot of them are trying to figure out how to get started. Well, they click on Get Started, and it takes you to a form, and you fill out that form, and then they promise to call you. So I think that this is very simple and compelling. Obviously, 2 words: get started. Okay, you sold me. I'm here. I arrived here because somebody told me to come here, or because I did a Google search on sales tax automation, and I arrived here, and I want to get started. How do I do that? Simple. Here's one from Oracle. Obviously, everybody knows who Oracle is. Learn more. 2 words. They arrived here because of some reason, right? They were researching Oracle itself, or they're researching ERP software, and they just want to learn more. Like most people doing research on ERP, they want to learn more. They want to learn how to narrow down this vast field of decision making that they're about to embark on. So Oracle's talking to that persona, that researcher. Types of CTAs that convert. So event registration in our business, this is according to FormStack again. So event registration is a very popular one, and as Kathy said earlier, we do a lot of events here. We do a lot of webinars, and those seem to be a very consistent way to get registrations for people to come and learn a little bit more about your expertise. Order payment. So obviously, if people are going through a process to maybe plan their vacation through Expedia, and they've gone through selecting their flights and their hotels, then they're going to click on, how do I secure my flight and my hotel? And they click on the button, Order Now, and then they complete their order payment. So that's obviously a popular call to action. Contact us. Not very strong. Contact us it's not a good one as far as our experience is concerned. It's a very passive call to action, because you're just asking them to contact you, and what's in it for them? And who wants to really be contacted by a salesperson, an unknown salesperson, if you're not really sure you want, you're interested in the product? So, and then the survey, according to this, is it just depends on the survey, though, and who you're sending the survey to. If you give something away for filling out the survey, you're going to have much more success with that survey. So maybe you want to give a Starbucks gift card away as a thank you for spending time filling out the survey. Maybe a donation, because you landed on a donation website that you have interest in. Contests are by far the most popular CTA. So what are you going to win for filling out that form? And then, lead generation. So where to place CTAs? Everybody's going to say above the fold, but sometimes at the bottom of the page makes sense, or below the fold using directional cues. So we're going to show you a couple examples of these. So above the fold. So you all signed up for this webinar, and we really appreciate it. So here is an example of above the fold. 7 examples of clickable call to actions. So this was really easy. You didn't have to scroll to see what you needed to do, and you all were interested in this topic. So you want to create call to actions that are clickable. All of these 5 bullet points resonated with you, and you decided to click on the Register Now button. And thank you so much for doing so and registering for this webinar. So this is an example of above the fold. at the bottom of the page, for example, this webinar, see below. So this webinar is an Acumatica webinar, and I'm just going to go ahead and show you this page here. So here's Acumatica's webinar, Business Technology and Growth, webinar on how small businesses are growing in the cloud. So their call to action is at the very bottom, but they speak to you in a blog about all the business technology and growth webinar, and about all the reasons why somebody might have arrived at this blog. And they have an easy register now button. So let's see what happens. Or you can download an ebook or get the free on-demand webinar. These are all call to actions. So register now, see what happens. There's a form, and then so this is all the qualifying information to get registered for the webinar. And it's on demand, so it looks like it's a recording. And you can build your forms out with all the qualifying data that you want to market to in the future. So depending on how this topic actually resonates with the target audience, if it's very strong with the target audience, and you can ask some more particular questions maybe, so that you know how to market to these people in the future in a nurture marketing campaign. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. Or below the fold using directional cues. So we have a couple examples here where I will show you. And Kathy, did you have anything to add here, or Dawn? Is there any questions?
No, I don't think I have anything to add. I would just reiterate too that, like you say, the simpler and easier it is for them to understand what the call to action is, and the simpler you make the form that they have to complete to capture information that you can follow up with them on, I think the better. I think it really causes people to convert more easily.
And this is another example of one on our website that I think we got, 40 to 50 people to convert on this just through social media when we published this blog. This blog was by SWK, and cloud-based ERP, what you need to know in 9 questions. Okay, so I'm interested. I'm about to purchase an ERP system, and I want to know why I should purchase a cloud-based ERP. So this is something I might want to read because, I'm doing research and I'm in the buying process. So you go ahead and click on your instant download, 9 questions to ask about cloud ERP. Well, you know what? Let's see what happens, because I know SWK just went through a big website revamp, and I hope that they've preserved this page, because if they didn't, then that would be a lesson for us all to learn. But they had this going to a download page. And looks like it's still there, so great. Download your copy. 9 questions to ask about cloud ERP. Make your ERP decision easier. So this is a SWK is using HubSpot, and this is a HubSpot form. And we are able to track how many conversions came from that call to action on ERP VAR. So if you're blogging on sites, then on other sites like ISV, popular ISV websites, you can redirect traffic back over to your landing pages that help you convert leads and develop relationships and develop nurture campaigns based on people who actually filled out this form about cloud ERP. So let's go back to the PowerPoint, and then here's another.
And my only comment, Adrian, on that is just to build on what Dawn just mentioned, and as an example with that form that we just saw, we learned over time to really shorten the forms as much as possible. The shorter the form, the better. So you can get someone to click on your little call to action button, but if the form is too long and intimidating, they will go away. So really think, what is the critical information you need to actually contact that person, and what can you find out without them filling out another field? So if you have a first name, last name, phone number, email, you might not need to ask for the company name, because guess what? Unless it's a Gmail account, then you're in trouble. But typically, you really want to reserve the field that you ask someone to fill out. That was just something Dawn mentioned, and I wanted to emphasize that. Because we learned it. We used to have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh boy, what would we like to know when they fill out this form? We'd like to know all sorts of things. But guess what? They're not going to fill out the form. So that was our growth and our learning over the years too.
Well, and according to HubSpot there, when we educate ourselves on inbound marketing principles with all their research and their resources and the education that they bring to the table, and sharing that education with inbound marketing practitioners like ourselves, we've learned that they say to just keep it minimum for the first interaction with a prospect. So first name, last name, maybe email, or company and email. Just, 2 lines of information just to start developing the relationship. Now they're in a nurture marketing campaign where you might send them a follow-up email about the topic that they just downloaded, in a week, or maybe even immediately. And then it sends them to a form where you ask for more information because they get something of higher value in return, and you're resonating even more, and you're keeping them in the conversation. And so now you can ask for more information because you got their first, pieces of necessary information to continue the dialogue with them. So that's, kind of what they preach as far as good practice in call to actions. And I do want to take you to this. I thought that this was a very interesting call to action here, so I'm going to show you that. So this is let's just refresh this page. This is an interactive call to action. So it starts out with, and this is called, using below the fold, using directional cues. So your eyes are following the liquid going through, and you want to keep reading what they're saying. This is another creative way to keep the reader engaged, and you're not going too fast. You can read what they're trying to educate you on here, and then now you can read this, even if you're a slow reader. And then we've got your back. And then let's stay together. And then this is kind of a funny image. I thought this was a really creative directional cue. And then start your project. So tell us about your project. So very simple, but you read everything that made you want to fill out this form. So let's go back to the PowerPoint. All right, so how to deliver on your CTA. So we're all exposed to thousands and thousands of marketing messages per day. So how do you stand out with all those marketing messages? So you just say what you want them to do. So as we said before, limit it to 2 words. Be very strong and action-oriented. That's how you deliver on that CTA that caused someone to read everything that we just saw, and then at the very bottom, click on the button. So where to link your CTA? So as we just saw on SWK's website, for example, they not only had that cloud ERP button, 9 questions to ask, on our blog, but they use that on their blog, on all their cloud ERP pages, or they could use it there. Any relevant web page on your website that gets significant traffic, they might want to put that on their home page. And then talk a little bit about, why, what questions that whatever it is that they're delivering, the white paper that they're delivering answers, and then download now, and then put that little box on their home page. So we want people to click our CTAs. So their homepage might not be the leading source of traffic. It's probably a leading source of traffic for them, but if you're using systems like HubSpot, you can see that, you know, maybe your homepage is not the leading source of your traffic. For us, for instance, the leading source of our traffic is a blog that one of our partners wrote about ERP implementation, and sometimes we'll get 300 to 400 visits to that blog in one day, all from search. And it's about Big Bang versus Big Bang theory, ERP implementation versus another theory. It's escaping me right now. But my point is that other websites like Stack Exchange, PM Stack Exchange, Tech Target, Software Advice, I think even at one time Find Accounting Software was pointing to that page. So it's given all the links that were retrieved because we sent it out to such a wide audience in social media that these editors of these very prestigious websites with high page rank authority decided to give that blog credit by linking to that blog to offer credentials to their own blog, because it emphasized the point that they were trying to make. So that's really the name of the game, is getting your blogs that have compelling content in front of many eyes, so those editors of those big ticket websites will point back to that blog. So that blog gets way more traffic than our homepage. And we know that because we're using inbound marketing software that tells us what pages get the most traffic. So if we put a call to action button in that blog, it's not our property, it's the partner's property. But if we did put a call to action button about 9 mistakes to avoid, 9 ERP implementation mistakes to avoid, then I bet you that button would get a ton of traffic because there's so much search traffic coming to that blog. And then a page on that partner's website where that button goes to download the white paper about 9 ERP implementation mistakes, I bet you they'd get a ton of conversions on that because the blog is relevant to the CTA, and the page that they arrive at is relevant to ERP implementation, and people are looking for ERP implementation advice. What better advice than mistakes to avoid? So you want to have your calls to action on every relevant page that you possibly can and have that strategy. And put it on all those pages that have to do with that topic on your own website because you have control, and get people to fill out that form.
And just back to the example of the Acumatica blog about a webinar, we use that as a practice too when we post webinars. We just don't post them in email invitations. We write a blog about the webinar with the call to action because, like with the Acumatica example, when you have a register now button sitting on your website, it sits there waiting to be found. But if you write a blog about it and you include your CTA there, whether it's a register now button or some other call to action, like you're promoting a white paper or something, talking about that expertise behind the white paper in the blog, that blog moves. So you're getting more exposure to your calls to actions when you include them in blogs than if you're just having them sit on your website.
Thanks, Kathy. Good point. So where do we want to promote our CTAs? Well, there's several ways you can promote your CTAs. So maybe you want to consider remarketing ads, and I spelled ads wrong, sorry, on Facebook. So you can put a piece of code on your website that will track the cookie on someone's computer visiting your website, and will follow that person all around. So maybe you think, well, gosh, Facebook doesn't make any sense. Well, Software Advice follows me all the time on Facebook, and I go on Facebook at least once a day to check it out because it's entertaining to see what people are up to. And I see a Software Advice ad every single time. Well, I'm not in the market to buy ERP software, but if I was, I might click on that ad and go to Software Advice. So that's just an example because I've visited Software Advice. I love what Software Advice does. I think they're really good at what they do. And I go to their website frequently just to get tips on how to market because Software Advice is owned by Gartner Group, and they're for developers like Acumatica to find people who are looking for software, and they're extremely search engine optimized, and they really know what they're doing. So I visit that site frequently. Well, I always, every time I go to Facebook, I see a Software Advice CTA, and I'm tempted to click on it, but I'm not really their target market. I just go there to research, things that industry leaders like Software Advice are doing from a marketing perspective. So they're advertising on Facebook by using remarketing code from people like me visiting their website. So you probably noticed that, once you visit someone's website, you might go to YouTube and see an ad for that company because you visited their website, but you're wondering, gosh, why is Acumatica following me around? How did they know? Well, chances are you visited their website, and now they have a CTA easily positioned in YouTube where you can click on and go back to a conversion form that's related to that call to action button on YouTube. So consider Google remarketing. You can also put a snippet of Google code on your website, and that'll follow you around wherever Google has their AdSense network, where you're visiting relevant websites, and you had that remarketing code, and now Google's serving up ads about you to people who visited your website, but on a variety of different websites that's part of the AdSense network. Consider AdRoll. AdRoll is a service that will help you advertise on Twitter and Facebook with the same type of remarketing code, but they'll do it all for you. They have customer service people that can help you with it. So we recommend that. Consider guest blog submission sites like us. We have a like-for-like audience, and when you publish a blog on our site, it can get hundreds or even thousands of more reads, depending on if the topic is compelling enough. But we've seen thousands and thousands of reads on some of our blogs because the topic is so great and has been consumed by the audience that we get it in front of. And we get it in front of a wider audience. And so now you have, just like I showed you with that SWK blog, a better opportunity to convert leads, or to convert visitors to leads. Maybe you have good relationships with popular ISVs. Like I know that Starship, we help them, V Technologies, with their HubSpot, and they get 10,000 visits a month, and they have about 50 to 70 social media profiles that they'll send their blogs through, and they would love for you to participate on their blog. We would love for you to participate on their blog because it gives us content, and they want to help you get leads, and they want you to sell more of their Starship and ShipGear shipping solutions. So they love it when you give them content because Google loves content, search engines love content, so it's a win-win for everyone. You get more exposure, then maybe chances are your own website, because maybe you only get a few hundred hits to your website. So why not leverage those ISVs that have so many relationships that get lots of visibility on their blogs because of, maybe in the case of Starship, they have a link from UPS that gives them a lot of authority. FedEx gives them a lot of authority. So, they have high page rank, those types of websites, and that's pushing authority over to Starship. Why don't you leverage that authority by putting a guest blog on their site and putting a link back to your website? So that gives you search engine optimization. If you have a call to action button, even better. and that'll go back to your landing page about that topic, and everybody wins. So, but you just have to be consistent about it and making sure you're cultivating those relationships.
And the great thing with using that example Starship is that they are now integrated with Acumatica. They're going through their controlled release as we speak, and will be soon rolling out proactively the Starship integration to Acumatica. So good thing to consider. And all the other exhibitors that were at the Acumatica show, I would definitely consider reaching out to them and seeing if they're open to guest blogs.
Good point, Kathy, because those are all relationships that want you to participate, and it's an excellent way to participate with them. So this is HubSpot, and this is just one example. There's a lot of different marketing tools, and this is just one of them. Let me make sure I'm on the right HubSpot account. I am. And let me explode this so you guys can see it. So here in HubSpot, there's a lot of different ways to measure things. So we can measure calls to actions and our campaigns. So in HubSpot, your call to actions are all measured here. You can say this month to date. So obviously we have, you know, register now, credit card processing, Sage 300. This month to date, we've gotten a 211 views to this register now button. And that's on our blog. So we can see how different calls to actions are more popular. So I can tell you right now that this one was about Sage 100. We have a lot of audience from Sage 100 coming to our website. It's an older product. We have relationships with those third-party solutions that integrate with Sage 100. It's an older product, and it's a mature product, right? And it has a lot of third-party solutions that have developed integrations and you know, with that solution. So we work with those third parties to drive traffic back to our call to actions to register for our webinars. So just from our blog, we can see that we had 13 submissions for just blog. So this wasn't for an email or anything. And then on our blog, we had 2,190, and this is our events page blog, by the way. It says we had 2,190 views to that page because we put it through all of the Sage 100 groups. And then we had 23 clicks on that button, and then that resulted into 13 brand new contacts into our database. So this just gives you a measurement of your call to actions and how well they're working for you. And I'm sure that most inbound marketing software, whether you're using Pardot or Marketo or one of the other inbound marketing packages, I'm sure they have the same type of measurement. But it's just nice to be able to see how things are performing. So you can change it up a little bit. So we can also see the details behind the performance here, and then we can see what pages we have this call to action on and how it's performed on the individual pages.
So Adrienne, with 3 minutes left, I just wanted to close. Have you showed everything you wanted to show within this call to action performance?
Yes, and I actually have a couple polls I'd like to launch. So with that said, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. And is there any questions, Kathy?
Well, while we're launching the poll, I have one question that came in.
Okay.
And I'm sure we could have showed it through our ERP VAR statistics, but once you launch the poll.
All right.
And the question is, based on your ERP experience and the work you've been doing on your site, what are some of the more popular call to actions? And I think this question is coming from the perspective of, you know, should you ask, well, what is the most popular? Is it a white paper? You know, we saw the registration is very popular, but what are some real popular call to actions that you've seen work.
And the most popular call to actions, I'll pull that up in a minute, but I'm going to let the audience take a minute to answer this poll.
Well, I think we should just talk about it rather than let's put the polls up, Adrian, and then let's just talk about it, because I think we can pull some off the top of our head.
Perfect. So there was one that I published from Software Advice that got, I think we converted 100 and so visitors to contacts, right? And so they were added to our contact database, and they filled out a form about, I think it was ERP implementation. It was a little while back, and I can't exactly recall all of it, but that was a super popular call to action. It was about ERP implementation. I think it had something to do with implementation mistakes to avoid, and it just resonated with the social media audience that we sent it out to. So we sent it out a couple of times, and it always converts the visitors to the blog to leads, always converts more visitors to leads, but they're not really leads for us. They're very high level information. So we just add them to our database so that we can market our webinars to them in the future, but they're not qualified enough to give out to ERP VARs unless those VARs, if you're interested in the audience and you participate with us, send me an email and I'm happy to send you those leads. But they're very high level, phone number, email, contact name. And you know, we don't represent ERP here, so we have a lot of folks that fill out our 12 cardinal sins of ERP implementation, but we just get such high level information, so that we don't, you know, give those out to partners because they're not qualified enough in our, you know, experience to give them out to partners. If you do participate with us, we're happy to give you those. So please send me an email and I will send them your way.
Well, we are at the top of the hour, so thank you so much. If you all have to drop off, but I think, Adrian, you have one more poll. And I just wanted to thank you all for your time today. Hope it was informative.
And then if you can answer this one last poll, Acumatica, thank you so much for sponsoring us. If I could get the audience to answer this poll, that would be awesome. Having a hard time talking. Yes or not at this time. That'd be great if the audience could take a moment to answer this poll.
And thanks for doing the webinar too. I'm sure people got a lot of value out of it, and we're happy to sponsor.
And there's another one coming up in May, so you all will get the invite on that. It's how to get the right kind of audience to your website. So we talked a lot about call to actions. Now, how do we get those people to come to our websites? In our experience, you know, a lot of the VARs out there get maybe 500 to 1,000 visits a month. We're at around 10,000 visits a month. So, you know, it's not the Software Advice that gets 200,000 visits a month, but, you know, we're getting there, and it's an evolution, and it's about getting the right audience to your website to convert into leads. And with that said, I'm going to, well, it looks like 20% of you have voted. If I could get to 100%. Then I'll
thank you, Dawn, for helping with this event. We appreciate your participation, as always.
Absolutely, my pleasure, and we'll look forward to the next one next month.
And Dawn, what are the, like, let's say we've got some NetSuite VARs out there. Why would you know, just at a, not with a, you know, we don't want to ever bash our competition, but, you know, what really differentiates Acumatica from something like a NetSuite?
Oh gosh, there are a lot of things, but if I were to hit on the things that were most different, number one, we're 100% channel oriented. We only sell through the channel, so there's never going to be any competition with Acumatica for leads or registering leads, or everything we do is in support of our partners. Number two, our program's free of charge, our training is free of charge. So programmatically, those are some differences. When you look at the product itself, ours is really focused smack on the mid-market space. I think some of the NetSuite partners notice that NetSuite tends to push up into that enterprise space and really look for larger deals. Whereas if you're used to dealing more in the 10 million to, let's say, a couple hundred million in revenue types of companies, Acumatica is a wonderful fit there. And they're a SaaS product. We're also a SaaS product, but the key differentiator is with Acumatica, you can deploy it in our cloud, you can deploy it in any public or private cloud, and if the customer really wants to deploy it on their premises, we can do that as well. So that's a differentiator. And then with most cloud solutions, there's only one way to invest in it, which is a subscription. With Acumatica, we have several subscription offerings, but then if a customer really, really runs the numbers and they say, we don't want to subscribe to it, we want to purchase it, can we own the product? With Acumatica, you can say yes. So bottom line is, it's really flexible, and it truly makes our partners more a consultant. So they can help determine what's the best way to invest. They can help determine what's the best way to deploy the solution. And our product is very cost effective for mid-market, and we don't price by user either. So there are a lot of things that are unique and different that give our partners a good talk track around cloud, subscription, flexibility, plus we give our partners our development environment so they can modify, they can do third-party solutions, they can do whatever they want to make it be 100% fit for the customer.
And can you tell us what kinds of markets that you really resonate with Acumatica? Is it manufacturing, distribution? I just spoke with a chain of restaurants yesterday, and I know that Cliff over at Cortec, we just gave him a lead for a large Wendy's franchise. I think he sold Acumatica too. So,
those are great examples. So we're broad in our appeal. We can address the needs of straight financials. We do very well with professional services companies, distributors, manufacturing. The only exception on manufacturing is we don't at this point do process manufacturing, but discrete, make to order, make to stock, engineer to order, those types of manufacturing customers we address very well. Software and high-tech companies, commerce, e-commerce, retail. As you pointed out, franchises, we do very well with franchise locations. And the product is very flexible, so if you have, let's say, a niche you wanted to build out in, let's say wineries, for instance, you could absolutely do that with Acumatica. So broad appeal, but I'd say in general, professional services, distribution, and manufacturing are our top segments.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dawn. And they get to work with you too, right? And so that's always a pleasure. So thank you so much for your participation. I'm going to go ahead and close out this poll. I see only 43% of you have voted. Thank you so much for those. Thank you for voting, everybody. And thank you again for spending time with us. And I know that an hour and 7 minutes of your time is hard to come by. We just really appreciate it, and please, we hope to see you on the next one.
Thanks so much.
Everybody, have a fantastic day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.